This video provides an overview of Vet Biz Matches for buyers, procurement officers, and technicians from corporate, government, or higher education institutions. So why do we even need Vet Biz Matches? I mean, aren't there other exhibition opportunities and business matchmaking opportunities that will connect procurement officers with veteran-owned small businesses? Sure there are. There are a handful of different events that occur annually. And if you miss those events, well, that was your last opportunity and we'll see you next year. If you've ever attended one of these events, perhaps you've noticed that they're predominantly attended by government procurement offices. The government procures many of the same things that you as a corporate or a college or university procurement officer buys, but they buy it differently. And many of the veteran-owned businesses have spent much of their time learning how to work within that government procurement system. So they're not really thinking about perhaps they should be approaching you about procurement opportunities or how to work within your corporate or college or university procurement system. When most associations or organizations put on business matchmaking events, they're usually tied to some form of a conference. And so in order to participate in the business matchmaking portion of the event, you first have to be an exhibitor. And if you've ever attended these events, you know that they're very large and very crowded and very noisy, and you spend a tremendous amount of time putting all your energy and effort and expenses into attending this part of the event just to get to the part that's really the most valuable for you, which is the actual business matchmaking event. And when you finally get to the point where we're actually doing the business matchmaking event, most of the time you're not really seeing the folks that have been pre-qualified to meet with you. Maybe they've expressed an interest in meeting you, but they don't meet your criteria in terms of revenue or company size. Many of the actual matchmaking events take place in large exhibition halls or conference spaces where tables are mere feet apart and you can hear the roar of the conversation around you. And it's really hard to concentrate on the person sitting across from you and understanding exactly what value this person has to offer potentially your company. So how does Vet Biz Matches differ from other small business matchmaking events? Well, number one, we're focused on connecting corporate and college procurement offices to veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. Our events are not tied to a conference, so we're maximizing efficiency of your valuable time. There's no need for you to exhibit or ship an exhibit booth and materials or send the extra people to the conference just to handle the exhibition portion so that you can get to the meat of the event, which is the matchmaking portion. Each event is one day and it's matchmaking only. We do multiple events a year, which increases the opportunities that you have to meet with qualified small businesses. But each one of those events is actually grouped by business type, product, or service. So that way you really are concentrating the types of small businesses that you're meeting at those events. And all meetings are conducted in private, quiet hotel suites so that you can really concentrate and focus and listen to the person sitting across from you and be able to absorb the information they're sharing with you. Perhaps the most important purpose of Vet Biz Matches is really that connection to assist those corporate, government, and college and university procurement officers to find qualified veteran-owned small businesses. It's really a marriage of high-tech meets high-touch. The high-tech portion is the Vet Biz Matches database, where both buyers and suppliers create their profiles and then the matching system occurs within. But once those matches have been made, that's where high-touch comes into play, where those procurement officers invite qualified veteran-owned small businesses to meet with them in one of a number of different cities across the U.S. Our job is to make sure we find as many veteran-owned small businesses as possible, introduce them to the idea that corporate, government, and college procurement officers want to meet with them, make it super easy for them to attend one of the events that are occurring nationwide or multiple events, and to make sure that they understand that working with corporate and college procurement offices is a little bit different than working with government, and to make sure that they're as best prepared as they can be to actually meet with you. So now you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, who decides whether that veteran-owned small business is qualified to do business with my organization? Well, that's the beauty of it. You decide what your criteria is, whether you have a minimum annual revenue or company size or license and certification requirements, or perhaps you're looking for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses versus veteran-owned small businesses. Whatever your criteria is, the matchmaking system takes all of that into account and allows you to filter your matched results based on whatever criteria you have set for your organization. So you've heard me mention a few times now that there's going to be multiple events occurring nationwide every year. Our goal ultimately is to have 9 events a year occurring in different cities. 2014 is our first year, so we may not reach 9 this year. We hope to have at least 3 or 4. But ultimately, when we are up to 9, these are the cities we plan on coming to. Each event is going to be NAICS code specific. So NAICS codes are the North American classification system for different products and services. It's just an easy way to group what products and services are being offered in what area. Most of you should know what NAICS codes you procure in. So for example, if you procure products or services in NAICS 21, which covers mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction, only 3 of those 9 cities will have that as a focus. Specifically, it'd be Dallas, Denver, and Houston, assuming we were doing all events that year. And it makes sense because those are cities in which there's a lot of companies and corporations and organizations that have a focus on mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction. But let's say you procure for construction products or services. That's NAICS 23. Well, that's a focus that can occur in any city. And so we will have it as a focus in all of the cities that we do that particular year. So if you procure NAICS 23, it might make sense that you would want to attend multiple events because each time you would be reaching a different population of veteran-owned small businesses that offer products and services in construction. So hopefully by now you're thinking this sounds like a really efficient way for me to find a lot of veteran-owned small businesses that are specifically offering products and services in the NAICS codes in which I procure. So you might be wondering, well, how many suppliers total can you meet with at any one particular event? Well, the way that this thing is set up, it's a one-day only event. So the maximum number of suppliers that any one buyer can meet with at a single event is 14. Each one of the appointments is scheduled for a total of 30 minutes on the half hour. We begin at 8:30 in the morning and run until 4:30 in the afternoon. 20 minutes of that half hour is your face-to-face meeting with that supplier, and the remaining 10 minutes will be used for that supplier to move to the next buyer and for you, the buyer, to gather your thoughts, write your notes, and update any information you need to in preparation to meet your next supplier. So if you have a number of buyers within your organization that each procure in different NAICS codes, you have the option to register multiple buyers. That way you can increase the number of appointments that you can cover, or you can cover multiple NAICS codes per event. You also have the option to register that individual buyer in additional cities. And again, that opens up the opportunity for you to meet with other veteran-owned small businesses that also offer products and services in your particular NAICS code. So now the most important question. What's it going to cost to participate as a buyer in Vet Biz Matches? Well, the good news is, first, there is no cost for you to register as a buyer, to create a profile in the Vet Biz Matches system, and then to view any match suppliers. Your initial view will be all suppliers who sell products or services in the NAICS codes that you indicate you purchase in. You can then filter those suppliers by the additional criteria that you have set to come up with qualified suppliers. Now, once you wish to extend an appointment to meet with those qualified suppliers face-to-face at that particular event, then there will be a registration fee per buyer per event. We do offer multi-buyer and multi-city discounts for each organization that wishes to participate. So what does your registration fee include? Well, of course, it includes the services of finding these veteran-owned small businesses. It includes your matchmaking meeting space. All of the meetings are taking place in an all-suite hotel, and your meeting space is that hotel suite. So the good news is that also then becomes your overnight lodging. If you happen to be traveling in from a distant location, your lodging is already covered. If you don't happen to be traveling in, and this is a local event for you, the price is still included in the registration fee because that is where the actual matchmaking event is taking place in that hotel suite. So we cannot separate it from the registration fee. Your fee also includes almost all of your meals. If you come in early the night before, you're welcome to attend the optional evening reception that we'll have. Your breakfast is covered, your lunch is covered, and all coffee breaks and snacks are covered for that one-day event. Of course, travel is separate and is incurred at your own expense. Please contact John Streithoff. His email address and phone number is there on the slide. And he will be happy to cover our current year's buyer registration pricing with you and provide you any information you need on multi-city or multi-buyer discounts. And again, if you're going to compare a Vet Biz Matches matchmaking event with matchmaking events that occur at large veteran-owned small business conferences, you really got to compare apples to apples. Again, if you're going to go to one of those large conferences, you have to be an exhibitor, so you have to ship an exhibit booth and all your materials. You have to spend several days on site so that you can man that exhibit booth and then attend the matchmaking event. You have to send additional people who also have to spend additional days on site so that they can staff that exhibit booth. And then you finally get to the thing that you really wanted, which was the matchmaking event. With Vet Biz Matches events, we cut right to the chase, get right to the business matchmaking event, and it is very focused on helping you connect with qualified veteran-owned small businesses. So we hope by now that you're at least intrigued about Vet Biz Matches, and you're thinking maybe you should at least attempt to register and see what kind of matches you might have out there. Remember, it's free to look, so you can register, create a profile in Vet Biz Matches, and then view your matched small businesses and do some further filtering and get down to those qualified small businesses. So we have a separate video if you'd like to have a quick overview on how to register and how to create that profile, how to do the filtering so that you can get down to the actual qualified small businesses, how to add cities to your profile so that you can indicate what cities you would be willing to do business matchmaking events in. All of that is included in a second video for buyers entitled How to Register in Vet Biz Matches. So, when you are ready to finally register in Vet Biz Matches, simply go to vetbizmatches.mybusinessmatches.com. We hope to see you at least one of our events this year.